There's a little hole in my big head. I like to watch the white floor turn red. I like to look at myself from the outside. No signs of life, so step aside. There's a little pity in the big eyes. I think it makes them pretty. They look so nice. They only care about their future fate. Enjoy yourself, it's not too late. A little hole in my head. A little hole in my head. A little hole.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you had a great weekend. We are here for some more spectacular racing in Automobilista 2. Running with Can-Am Sim Sport this week, CASS. They are hosting round 3 of their DTM championship. This is all the BMW M3 GTR, I believe. So that's all you're going to see on the grid tonight. I apologize. I did not get a chance to get the standings situated before I sat down. So I believe Merchant is leading the charge in the championship fight, but beyond that, I do not know who is where. Nope, sure isn't, John. Thank you for saying that. It should be updated now. Please refresh. To anybody that I thought I hit done, but maybe I did. I came in here in a freaking mad dash to try to ensure that everything got done, and I must have forgotten to hit the done button. Type that. Type that. Throw stuff at you, dog. Quit that. As soon as we get in the lobby here, I've got to pull up the chat and want to protect their password though. Okay. Apparently track limits is something these guys are a bit worried about. It'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. Real quick while they get everything fired up. I'm going to get the game cap pulled up. Interesting, is it? All right, John, you still in the chat? I'm gonna. Well, I mean, I guess I can monitor things from my side. See how this pans out. I don't see a game. Do you all see a game? I don't see a game. There's the game. All right. So, see if we can't find our championship leader. Has Merchant left the pits yet? He has not. Who shalt we watch? Cactus is back out there tonight. Glad to see Cactus back. Nikita, we're right on board with Nikita. Yes, folks, if you're just tuning in, this is CASS. This is the DTM Championship. Round 3, we're at the Le Mans Bugatti circuit today. So it's a shorter version of the iconic Le Mans racetrack. Perfect place for these cars to stretch their legs and really dig deep. A lot of local yellows already out on the grid. We'll ride on board with Nikita. He comes through the final complex here. I don't have my cell phone. Not sure where I've left it. Crossing the line at the iconic Rolex timing line. Nice lines through the S's here and under the Dunlop Bridge, which won't be the Dunlop Bridge anymore. Here's where we deviate from the traditional circuit a little bit. Did a very good job keeping it smooth and steady. And once more through the final complex. On board with Nikita. This guy had an incredible race too last week with an incredibly heartbreaking upset at the very end. Classic case of the old commentator's curse. I apologize. He will cross the line. This is free practice, so none of these times are really all that important. Nikita, no clean time on that run. Sounds as if the track limits tonight are a bit unforgiving. So now watch your championship leader, also in the number 98, Harley Carburetors. I'm going to do my best to stay hydrated this week. Got a Coke and a water so that I don't run out of breath. There's now Merchant crossing the line again. Joe Dirt currently showing some early pace, a 36.489. Again, these guys are maybe not pushing as hard as they can go, as this is a practice session. Just trying to get a feel for the car, get a feel for the track. A lot of local yellows all over the place right now. Imagine Heel Toe Hero might have been roped up in one of those. Spiky Cactus, though, working his way through the field. As a reminder, a little bit different from America's Racing League, these guys run private qualifying, so they will not have to deal with traffic, and traffic is definitely something to consider with 20 cars on the grid. Certainly something to be aware of during the race, but in qualifying they will have free and clear track, as Pingu and Nikita both jump Hi-Fi and Obscure Hi-Fi. Jump Spiky Cactus. Cactus, a very quick driver, very fast over one lap. Consistency didn't seem to be there last week, but last week we had some inclement weather, and that threw a little bit of a wrench in people's typical driving standards. So, Cactus will cross the line 5/10 to the good, dives offline to get out of the way. Joe Dirt crosses the line, no time gained. We jump to Something Fierce, who also has no time gained. Joe Dirt really leading the field here. And you can see that car just get a little bit slidey on the exit of those S's. Late and aggressive on the brakes down into that corner. Beautiful job being done by all these drivers so far. top 6 within a second of each other, and that is running in practice. Nikita has jumped up to the lead spot in our practice session with a 36.390, knocking Joe Dirt down 1/10, and he doesn't look to be able to reclaim it. Currently down 2/10 of his fastest. Still a few folks haven't posted clean laps yet. Orange Hat, Shadow Puck both have not put a official clean lap down, as Joe Dirt now crossing the line to, well, he did gain 0.04 of a second. Not going to be enough to take the spot from Nikita. Again, cannot emphasize enough, free practice. Times don't matter. We reset them all and go to qualifying here in about 2 minutes. Who I would like to watch is your championship leader, Merchant, who started his first lap, was about 7th or 8th. His second lap put him in 6th, and now he's up to 3rd on the timing stand. It's 10th down from his fastest time, but he is in traffic. So, folks, he's got some pace that he's not able to really put to the concrete yet. And I imagine in qualifying we're going to see a real battle between Nikita, Joe Dirt, Merchant, and even Pingu really is kind of sitting right there in that bubble area where you hit traffic and it's going to slow you down a little bit, especially if the car ahead of you is in an out lap and they're a little easier on the brakes, a little more cautious on the tires. It's really going to kind of check you up. You'll have to lift or coast or brake where you don't want to brake. Slipstream will help a little bit on the straights, but unless you can get the pass done on the straights, you're going to lose some time. Bit of a wiggle there. I believe that was, Soupy maybe? As Merchant now about to cross the line. Was Desmodou, and he does not gain any time on that lap. Cactus continuing to fall down the leaderboard as his time has been trumped several times since he last put it down. A big slide coming out of the corner, but not enough to scare him away. Backed out of the throttle and hard on it in the straightaway. Folks, if you are new here, haven't seen how we run things here yet, or if you're just tuning in, this is the end of the free practice session with Can-Am Sim Sports DTM Championship, CASS, as we like to call them. This championship is a 10-minute practice followed by, I believe it's a 5-minute qualifying. It is a private qualifying. The first race will be, and I don't know what the race distances are tonight, but it's a half-distance race 1, followed by a brief 2 or 3 minute intermission. We go into a 5-minute qualifying for race 2, and race 2 will be a full-distance feature event. So the half-distance sprint qualify for the feature, and then the feature is a full distance, so it's twice the length of race 1. Points are handed out as such. Race 1 will net half the points of race 2. So if you were going to score, if you finish first and first awards 50 points in race 1, it awards 100 points in race 2. So really interesting championship implications. You still get to qualify for your second race grid spot, but definitely keeps the championship fight interesting for the drivers that are consistently quick. You know, one guy has a bad race, depending on which race he has a bad race in, could mean big championship implications. So, going to be exciting to see what happens tonight. Your contenders, your typical contenders are up here. Ben Grabo had a great race last week in race 1, and then found some misfortune in race 2. Just was not where he wanted to be. But he's in the top 10 right now in free practice, and we are fixing to go into qualifying, where we will see who has best time in qualifying. This is where it counts. Keep an eye here on Soupy, as he is the first driver out of pit lane into our, in my opinion, our first turn 1 and 2, this little chicane here. Uphill and through the Dunlop arch. Down and into turn 3. What I'm calling turn 3. I don't have a track map, so you guys will just have to deal with it. And folks, this is an outlap, so he won't be his quickest. Down into 4. Radiuses of these turns are a little deceptive. Some close, some open. They are not consistent. Really does make this a very challenging circuit, as turn 5 is probably the tightest curve we have on the track. Really nice wide exit there on 5. Able to get the power down. Use all the curbs on the outside of the track. Hard on the throttle, down into the chicanes, that 7 and 8. Using all the curb there. Down into 9. A little bit of backfire. From that German machinery through the curve, that is 10. Turns 11 and 12 will bring him down the front straightaway, and we will watch on board with Soupy for his first flying lap. Under the timing stand he goes, and he is off. Now, folks, 5-minute qualifying means these guys really only get the potential to put 2 laps down. If they're absolutely rapid and waste no time at all, 3 is possible. But it could be a stretch. Nice use of the curbs. And a nice wide exit on turn 3. The radius on this turn is a challenge. Kind of opens up on you. Not a problem for Soupy as he fires down straight away and into turn 5. Not getting the apexes where he wanted. A little bit aggressive on the power down, but a nice wide exit. Six and 7. It's pretty quick chicane for what we're used to here at Le Mans. Nice use of the apex curbs in turn 9. Really tight entry in 10. Notice how he straightens the wheel out a little bit there. That's going to scrub a little bit of time on the entry to 12, but time was not valid. As Nikita is now your pole sitter. The 36.769. Cactus trailing just behind. We're going to watch second place Merchant. No time gain for Merchant. Very interesting. Joe Dirt will be the next driver we watch as he comes through the complex of turn... this is turn 10, I believe. Tight entry on 12. Or 11 and 12 both. And he has returned to the pit box. He is not going to get a lap, folks. This outlap is going to be all he gets. He will not get a flying lap. Joe Dirt is going to get trapped by the time towards the back of the field. Second place Merchant Championship leader coming through turn 5. Trying to make something happen in this short qualifying round. very, very aggressive exit and entry on the corners there. You notice he used almost all of the curbs, but conveniently placed his tires in a position where shouldn't get any track limit violations. You saw a little bit of a step out there. It was controlled. Really shows that he's putting this car through everything it can take. Down the straightaway. Merchant crosses the line. The time was invalid. Merchant will start with Joe Dirt in the back of the field. Your qualifying leader is Nikita with a 36.769. Spiky Cactus came in with a 36.772. Pingu with a 36.823. Obscure Hi-Fi with a 36.860. Heel Toe Hero with a 37.158. And Something Fierce will round out your first three rows with a 37.861. From then you've got Ben Grabo, Chill Blast, NZ, Tarka. Oh, I'm sorry, Chill Blast, NZ, and Sturhaus. That's your top 10. Tarka, Rigatoni, Desmodu, Soupy, and Waylon Crace is your top 15. From there, you've got Ammon Crace, Shadowpuck, Orange Hat, and then, shockingly, Joe Dirt and second-place Merchant, rounding out the top 20. Something's telling me, folks, that the track limits are very, very aggressive, as I thought we rode on board with Soup for his first lap. I think we rode on board, or we watched Joe Dirt, and the most of Merchant's lap looked clean, but the game says otherwise. So very interesting implications. We're going to see what happens here in the race. Those guys have got a lot of work to do, and it's not great if you're Merchant looking at the championship standings and knowing that Nikita is nipping at your heels, and he is starting at the front of this field. A lot of work to be done by the guys in the back, and I imagine this is going to be a wild race start. So we have just a few moments yet before the green. Hope everybody is having a great night. I'm looking forward to getting into some BMW M3 racing here at Le Mans. We are running the Bugatti circuit. If you're just tuning in, this is the Can-Am Sim Sport DTM Championship Round 3. This is race 1, so half-distance race. We've had some shakeups in the qualifying. Joe Dirt and second-place Merchant, both 19th and 20th respectively. Shockingly far down the grid, and will be very interesting to see how this race plays out. Following this race, we'll have a brief 3 to 5 minute intermission, where we'll jump into a second qualifying session for our feature event. This is the sprint. The feature event will be 24 laps and award twice the points. The green lights are shown, and we are underway. Big dive in the back. Somebody was slow to go, and Nikita far and away ahead of everybody else. Hi-Fi side by side with Something Fierce. Everybody gets away from the line really good, and second-place Merchant already up to 17th and continuing to work his way through. Joe Dirt up into 15th. A little bit of side-by-side spinning. Somebody is around. I believe that was Soupy and Desmodu. Not sure if there was contact between the two or if they just upset the car. Both of those guys now have a bit of recovery to do yet. Joe Dirt and second-place Merchant now charge it through the field. Started 19th and 20th respectively, and now are 14th and 15th. 13th to Merchant and 14th to Joe Dirt. And they continue to charge through the field. Ben Grabo facing some pressure from NZ behind. And NZ facing some pressure from Something Fierce. He's kind of shuffled back the running order. Post-qualifying, the green flag dropped, and I believe he started 6th. He's fallen down a few spots since the green, but nothing that can't be recovered. Nikita currently driving away from the field, as Nikita does. At an he's leading the field by about 1.5 seconds. And the fighting behind is not slowing down. Something Fierce really charging down. NZ trying to get a run up the hill and around the bend. He's got a lot of steam ahead. Don't think he's going to get it on the entry to turn 1, though. Patience is a virtue. This is a sprint, though. We're already on lap 2 of this event. Don't want to wait too long to gain some track position. Very aggressive on the braking, as it looks like there's cars racing ahead of us. Spiky Cactus down into 3rd. Pingu has gotten around. Pingu's had a rough way to go these past few races. Good to see him running up front. Something Fierce still chasing down NZ. Picking P9. Second place Merchant charging for Sturhaus. Little bit of a nudge on the back bumper saying, hey, buddy, I'm here. You might as well let me by, or I'm going to make your life a real unpleasant time. Tucks into the slipstream. On approach to 6. Dives onto the right side, the left side, I apologize. Keeps it stuck in the middle, but doesn't seem to find an opening. Sturhaus really battling. This is a championship leader, folks. Merchant is trying to get around. He's got the pace. But these guys that he's trying to get through, we're in the mid-pack now. These guys are good at what they do. These guys aren't just pushovers. Everybody in CASS is good at what they do. Nobody's a pushover, but these guys, you know, they run consistently in the middle. Maybe they can help the championship a little bit by... And we've got another spin in the back. I believe that's... Who was that? I don't know. Something Fierce really trying to work over NZ. Not sure if he's going to get it done. And Merchant really trying to work over Sturhaus. Very, very aggressive, but nice, clean move by Merchant, putting him up into P10. Joe Dirt still trapped behind Sturhaus. Trying to work his way up. And tries to switch it back, doesn't get it done. Game's not over yet, folks. He's all over the back bumper of the car ahead of him. Just trying to find the right opportunity to get by, and Sturhaus runs wide. That's going to give Joe Dirt the position, and P11 is where we see Joe Dirt in the number 23 BMW. We jump back ahead to NZ and Something Fierce, who has now been moved up to 8th place. Something Fierce did get around NZ, but battle is not over, and Merchant is going to insert himself into this battle, as now he is becoming a part of this fight. And the fight, folks, is almost a 5-way battle, as Ben Grabo is now pushing for Chill Blast in P6. And the cars behind are right there. Beautiful side-by-side action here on the entry to turn 1. Late on the brakes from Grabo, but it's not going to be enough. He ducks back in behind. This is where it gets dicey, folks. The accordion effect going through the S there, the chicane. Everybody starts to check up, and if one person checks up too late, you get a little bit of action like that where there's a bit of bumper nudging, and that's going to open the door for Something Fierce, who's now on the inside, gets around, but gets nudged back to the outside, and now Grabo on the inside of Chill Blast. Grabo's going to maintain the exit of the corner, and Grabo's just steaming ahead now. Chill Blast got a little bit off of his balance there, starting to regain control of the car, but time has been lost, and now Something Fierce is right there to try to capitalize. Merchant and Joe Dirt battling each other. They're falling a little bit behind the running order now, as they're now back down to 10th and 11th. Joe Dirt really trying to get around Merchant. Very late lunge onto the inside of turn 6. Wasn't enough. Merchant pulls ahead. Something Fierce trying to get around Chill Blast. Folks, there is fighting all here through the mid-pack right now. These guys are stacked on top of each other. Nice run coming down the straightaway, but I don't think it's going to be enough. It's Joe Dirt side by side with Merchant. Who is going to bow out of this first? Joe Dirt thinks better of it, dives to the inside, switches back. Doesn't get it done. Goes wide. That might be track limits, folks. That's a thing these drivers were concerned about going into tonight's proceedings. Track limits, you get 6 before you're hit with a drive-through penalty. 6 track limit violations. We saw how many drivers had non-clean laps in practice and qualifying until the last possible second. That, folks, is track limits. As we're charging hard into the halfway part of this race. 5 out of 12 laps. Joe Dirt starting to fall off the speed a little bit. Merchant gets around NZ, who's run wide. Joe Dirt now going to try to take position as well. He does. Chill Blast starting to face pressure again from Something Fierce, who is really trying to work him over now and find every opportunity he can. And Merchant's running real wide in the back. Very wide exit on the corner. And Something Fierce really, really up against an incredible defense from Chill Blast here. And somebody has run off the back of the track there. I believe that's NZ. It's fallen down to 12th from a very impressive start to this race. Great defense early on. These guys are all bunching up again through the chicane. That is, it just takes one bad moment, folks, to make that whole pack get shuffled around. As big lunge from Joe Dirt. Big lunge from Joe Dirt. That costing him and Merchant some significant time there. That was a bold and desperate move to try to get around Merchant. Joe Dirt definitely feels like he's faster, but he just can't get around. Merchant is doing a great job of playing offense and defense simultaneously, as now he's coming for Something Fierce, who is already battling for P7 with Chill Blast. Chill Blast leaves the door open, and they're going to be side by side on the approach to 6. Chill Blast has the preferable line. It's on the inside. Wide exit from Fierce. Clips the grass a little, and that's going to cost him valuable time. But now Chill Blast doesn't get a moment to rest as we get contact. Merchant on the inside. We're 3 wide from turn 8. Joe Dirt just trying to find a way around. Merchant, shallow exit, trying to keep the car pointed the right way, but he's going to lose some ground to Joe Dirt. Runs wide. Shoulders are out, folks, and now Fierce slides a little bit on the exit. This race in the middle of the field is insane. We're side by side again. We've seen this same old song and dance 3 laps in a row now. Joe Dirt and second place Merchant firing it into turn 1 side by side. A beautiful switchback again from Joe, but not enough to get around Merchant as we go under the Dunlop arches. Tries a different entry into turn 3. Doesn't get it, doesn't lose ground though. Now he's starting to face pressure from Something Fierce a little bit, who runs wide. What a fight we've got on our hands here, folks. 7 laps. We're on the 7th racing lap. 6 laps completed. We're on the 7th lap of competition, and it is not slowed down at all. Chill Blast starting to face massive pressure. Second place Merchant gets around with a cheeky move on the outside. But it's not complete yet. We're side by side into the entry of 6. Chill Blast right where he wants to be, tucked on that inside line, but this is deja vu. This is where he got taken by Something Fierce. Merchant, however, gets it done with authority, and now Chill Blast is a pick between him and Joe Dirt, and Chill really maintaining a beautiful line here at Le Mans. What a race we've had, folks. What an absolute race. And I don't want it to sound like I'm not paying any attention to our race leader, but folks, he is 8 seconds ahead of the rest. Nikita driving away from the field is now Joe Dirt trying to pop out on Chill Blast. Side by side, up the hill and into the bend, but I think he's going to get it done before turn 1. And now charging for second place Merchant once again. But Chill Blast cannot breathe, he cannot rest, because now Something Fierce is back to try again to take the position with 4 laps of racing left. It's still anybody's game here in the top 10. Is now Heel Toe Hero pushing for Spiky Cactus. Our second place qualifier starting to face pressure for position 3. This is for the final step on the podium. Very late on the brakes, folks. We've seen Cactus race before. If you're from America's Racing League, you've seen him race the Carrera Cup Series. Guy's quick, very fast, and does have some incredible consistency when he finds a groove. And it's looking like he may have found a groove. Heel Toe not letting up. Merchant starting to face some pressure from Joe Dirt. These guys are closing the gap on the fight for 5th. As now Chill Blast facing more pressure from Something Fierce. This is a great run. If he can maintain the momentum out of the final corner, he might have a shot going into turn 1. But he doesn't. The gap has opened up. And Joe Dirt now once again side by side with Merchant. Merchant not giving up that outside line, though. It turns onto the inside. Wide exit. He got a little bit aggressive on the entry to turn 1. And that set Joe up for a really solid entry into 3. These two are door to door. The racing is incredible. Beautiful entry for Merchant. Everybody giving everybody enough room to really make these cars scream. Through turn 4 and down the straight into 5. Merchant maintains position, but only just. Now we get the longest straight on the back half of this circuit. Joe had a great run, but he didn't have enough track. Not going to be able to make the move here, but he will be eyeing it soon enough. And he does tuck onto the inside of Merchant, trying to set up a pass into turn 10, but it's not going to happen as now we approach 11, and the accordion starts to stack up again behind second place Merchant. Very wide exit from Merchant. We've had 2 retirements. Late on the brakes from Joe, but not enough. He's going to try to switch back once again, but that move has been seen several times by second place Merchant, who is now very comfortable defending it. Joe with a great run out of turn 3. He's going to start to stick his nose out in turn 4. Side by side into 4. Joe Dirt going to try to keep it hung high, but it's not going to happen. He washes wide and has to tuck back behind Merchant. Again, Merchant making that car as wide as humanly possible. Doing everything he can to just run damage control. It's pretty obvious at this point in the race, unless there is an absolute tragedy to Nikita. Race 1 is all but his to lose. Joe just trying to find the opening on Merchant here. but he's just not getting the window. And Something Fierce still hanging back, trying to find something on Chill Blast. These 4 to 5 cars this entire race have been absolute chaos. Big lockup for Merchant, and that's going to open the door for Joe Dirt. On the exit of 2, they're side by side, firing it down the hill and into turn 3. Joe Dirt does get the position, but Merchant not going down without a fight. Maintains position beside. Has a great run out of the exit of 3. Switches into 4. But it just isn't enough. That one lockup might have been enough to give Joe the position. And Merchant now going to be fast on the offense. Great run down here, but I don't think it's going to be enough. We'll jump back to them here in a moment as Heel Toe Hero still trying to work his way up to Spiky Cactus, but now facing pressure from Obscure Hi-Fi behind 4P4. And Hi-Fi facing pressure from Ben Graybo, who had a lackluster qualifying, I imagine, by his standards, but really seems to have recovered in the race, now fighting for a top 5 finishing position as we cross the line for our final lap of competition in race 1. It is crazy to think this race has just gone by in a blink, guys. The racing has been incredible, and now Graybo really trying hard to get around Hi-Fi, not getting it done. It's now or never, folks. People are going to start making Hail Mary moves to get through here. Every second counts. Is Nikita driving away from the field as only Nikita does. Commanded the field from the drop of the green and seems to have it on lock tonight for race 1. Hopefully I am not commentators cursing him again. 2/10 now separate Hi-Fi and Graybo. A late lunge, an aggressive, desperate attempt to get a position is all it might take to get around. But it's not enough, and Nikita will cross the line victorious in race 1. Pingu will be the one to cross the line in P2, barring any sort of unfortunate mishaps. Cactus in P3 and Heel Toe Hero P4. Obscure Hi-Fi will cross the line in P5. Ben Graybo P6. Joe Dirt P7. Second place Merchant P8. Chill Blast P9. Something Fierce will round out your top 10. From there, folks, we're at Sturhaas, NZ, Soupy, Tarka, Shadowpuck close out the top 15, followed by Waylon Crace and Orange Hat in P17. That is race 1 done and dusted. What a race that was, folks. Massive, massive props to Joe Dirt and second place Merchant for the massive charge from 19th and 20th up to 7th and 8th. Massive, massive gains from both drivers, and that does not need to go unnoticed. And I do believe we will have a brief intermission. So with that, I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. And Hello and welcome back. For those of you just tuning in or just getting back, this is Can-Am Sim Sports DTM Championship Round 3 at Le Mans Bugatti Circuit. This is Race 2. The feature race is actually qualifying for Race 2. Nikita with a commanding victory in Race 1. Shockingly, seeing a lot of drivers not leaving the box. As with round 1, Soupy is the first out of the box. But your championship leader and his fiercest adversary in the last race are just now leaving the box. As we now watch our Race 1 winner, he really commanded the field from the drop of the green. Some incredible pace showed by all these drivers tonight. I apologize, I'm eating a candy bar, so bear with me here, folks. Almost done. All right. As I was saying, Nikita controlled the field from the drop of the green in Race 1, the sprint. Looking to have some quick pace as he completes his outlap and starts his first timed lap. We will ride on board with your sprint race winner as we qualify for the feature. Nice and smooth through turn 3. Precision is what we're watching here, folks. Using as much of the curb as allowed. A little bit of a slide on the exit of 7 there. Around 8 and 9. I apologize, I've been calling these corners wrong. Now we're going to watch. Oh, he slides on the entry to 10. Still not enough to throw him too far down the running order. A 36.415 for Nikita. Merchant with a 36.876, and he's aborting the run. Joe Dirt with a 36.755 will start just ahead of second place Merchant, and he is opting to stay out for one more run. Heel Toe Hero also trying to complete another run. Chill Blast trying to find somebody that's close to the end of a run so we can see how they stack up on time. But I'm not seeing anybody. I really wish that AMS2 would show the position of everybody on the circuit, and oh, that's disappointing. Even if they were not in the session we're observing. That will be the last lap for many. Nikita is retired to the box. Joe Dirt out to complete a lap. Heel Toe Heroes in the box. Cactus. We'll watch Cactus as he crosses the line and he has aborted the run. We're going to jump to Joe Dirt. Actually, we're going to watch Pingu, who did qualify well in race 1, but that seems like a wide exit. That may be a track limit violation. It was not. No time. Or he did gain some time over Spiky Cactus. Will qualify P6. Joe Dirt. A little bit of time gained for Joe Dirt. Actually, plenty of time gained. He puts himself on the pole over Nikita. Folks, race 2 just got very interesting. Sturhaus crosses the line. Waylon Crace, I believe, is just cool down lap stuff. Ben Graybo will be the last to cross the line, and he does so with, I don't know. Don't know what his time was. Ben Graybo with a P3 and a 36.585. Merchant's got a little work to do, but we just watched him run from P20 up to P8. So anything's possible, folks. Anything is possible in a DTM championship. Hope you all are enjoying this race as much as I am. It's been a lot of fun. All right. 24-lap feature race, folks. Things are about to get very interesting. Nikita starting on the right lane. I'll be very curious to see. We've had a disconnect. Who was that? That was second place Merchant. Second place Merchant has retired from the event. Heartbreaking to see. First CASS career victory last week, and it seems tonight's event may wrap up in an unfortunate way for the defending championship leader. So now we prepare to roll to green. And we watch as Joe Dirt tries to defend P1. But High Five fires it up from behind. Trying to chase down the leaders here. Already we're off to a roaring start. Nikita trying to get around. Big action going into the chicane here. It seems everybody made it through all right. And Joe Dirt now facing pressure from one of the fastest drivers CASS has seen. Very curious as to see what we've got in store tonight on the feature event, folks. Nikita trying to find a way around Joe Dirt. Definitely has some incredible pace, just has to find a way to get by. There's people side by side in the back. Heel Toe Hero I'm sorry, that wasn't Heel Toe Hero. Something fierce. Once again, chasing down Chill Blast for P7. We've seen this played out before. Hi-Fi gets around. Heel Toe Hero, Cactus, and Nikita might have had an incident. Nikita fallen way down the leaderboard. Joe Dirt also down in 16th place. I have no idea what just happened. I apologize for missing that incident. But that is hugely detrimental to both of these drivers' race. Now Heel Toe Hero charging for the top step of the podium tonight. And folks, I apologize. Looking over at the streaming PC, it looks that things are a little bit on the choppy side. Not horrible, but a little bit. And I believe that is because my capture card had a software update, and I think that's adjusted some settings, and I need to go and adjust them back. But that's neither here nor there. As we watch Heel Toe Hero do everything he can to catch up to Obscure Hi-Fi. Nikita trying to work his way back up the field, get around Dismodu. Seems that whatever incident transpired, there was little to no damage incurred by either driver, so for that we are grateful. As they continue to run without any sort of loss of pace. Big collision between Dismodu and Nikita. I believe that was a misjudged braking point. And now Dismodu stuck in the gravel trap. That looks like the car may have collided. That is a torqued bumper and hood. Absolutely devastating for those drivers. Now Joe Dirt trying to work his way back up through the field. Carving without care. Fires it up to the left of Tarka onto the entry. And we are disconnected. The stream has gone down. Okay, we are back. Apologize for the disconnect. Not sure what happened there. But we're back. Is now Joe Dirt trying to chase down Soupy. Got a little bit of ground to gain. Ben Graybo chasing down Sturhaus. This is for P8. Really doing a great job of recovering from an unfortunate race 2 last week. However, falling quite down the running order. We see a spin. Sturhaus goes around. I don't know if there was contact sustained there or if that was just an unfortunate catch of the curbs, but that gives Ben Graybo back up to P8. Remember, folks, he started P3. Seems to have fallen down the running order just a little bit. Heel Toe Hero just kind of biding his time here. We are into our 4th lap of competition. Heel Toe trying to find a way around. Just not getting the openings. Hi-Fi doing a great job defending. Might get a run. Down into 5. Or 6, I apologize. Thinks differently. Opts not to take it. And now he's fallen way off early on the brakes there. Potentially self-preservation. Joe Dirt now starting to catch up to the fight ahead between Soupy and Crace. This is a three-way battle for P9. Waylon Crace leads the battle. Across the line, but Joe Dirt on the right of Soupy. Up the hill and into the bend. Late on the brakes, but not late enough. Pulls the switchback that we saw so often in his battle with Merchant, but it doesn't stick here either. Soupy maintains P10, and that gives Waylon Crace a little bit of breathing room for the battle behind. So now Joe Dirt really going to try to make something happen here. He does go on the inside of Soup. Can he get it done? Side by side. Firing it down the straight and into 5. Not really the line you want to take on the entry to this hairpin. But Joe manages it a little bit off the edge of the track there, but sticks the position, and I believe that is a position for Joe Dirt. Now works back up to P10. Chill Blast with a lot of pressure from Something Fierce behind. Once again, these two drivers duking it out. This is for the final spot in the top 5. Fierce really doing everything he can to find an opportunity to get around. He had a great entry onto turn 11, but not the exit he would have hoped for to make any sort of maneuvers. And Chill Blast will continue to lead that battle. It's Ben Grabo starting to stick his nose in the fight. And get himself involved a little bit. It's not going to be enough, I don't think, to make much a difference yet. So now Fierce has a bit of a run. Chill Blast runs wide, but he doesn't get it done. And Chill Blast back down into the position. He's doing a really good job of maintaining the gap. But now they're side by side. Back into single file. Now Joe Dirt getting around NZ, getting around Waylon Crace. So now we watch the battle between Something Fierce again, starting to heat up side by side. Beautiful line and attack from Fierce, but not enough. And now he's on the wide line on the entry to turn 9. Little bit of a shimmy from that car. And now he's getting a lot of pressure from Ben Grabo, who goes around on the outside of Fierce. Not only did he lose the attack he was on, but he lost a position in the battle as well. Now, Ben Grabo chasing down Chill Blast. As we enter as we enter lap 7 of this event. Still plenty of racing to go, folks. Nothing simmering down yet. Grabo all over Chill Blast at the moment. Tarka is in pit lane. Massive damage on the back of that car. Seems to be missing a rear wing. I imagine we'll see him in the box for a few moments. Now Ben Grabo side by side with Chill Blast. He has the pace to qualify third. Who is going to break first? It will be Grabo. Shuffling around, and now Something Fierce trying to stick his nose in the mix. Little bit of contact, and Graybo goes around. It upsets the back end of the car. Massive props to the drivers that went around, split the difference, and didn't get collected into that incident. Unfortunately, that car got parked right in the middle of the track. No damage sustained. Probably a little bit of a frustration behind the visor, but the car is in good shape. He should be able to keep it rolling and get moving forward again. Is now Joe Dirt going to try to make the pass on NZ. They're side by side up the hill and through the bend. He gets it done going into one. Just about big lockup from NZ, but he sticks the inside line. And Joe Dirt doesn't quite have it done yet. But firing it down into 3, he does successfully get around. We'll see if NZ can retaliate. I just don't know that the pace is there. And it doesn't seem to be. Joe Dirt driving away now. And now Something Fierce once again attacking for Chill Blast in P5. Great run here. But it's not enough. You can see him kind of shallowing out these exits so that he can get a run on the entry to the corner, but it's just not enough momentum. He might have it here coming up the main straightaway. Tucked in for the slipstream, sticks it to the left. Loses a lot of momentum, though. So we now come through the chicane. Turns 1 and 2. Down into 3, really sticks it into the slipstream there, trying to capitalize on all the ground, and there's a little bit of a bobble from the car ahead. Chill Blast almost lost the position there. It's now Something Fierce really trying everything he can to get around and not lose too much ground. And he does a nice wide exit from Chill Blast, opens the door for Something Fierce, and it'll be a drag race down into turn 6. Fierce catches a little bit of the dirt, has to bow out of that battle a little bit. Didn't want to be too late on the brakes. With dusty tires. Excuse me. But this battle continues to deliver. And Soupy now trying to answer to Ben Graybo. Graybo trying to get around Waylon Crace. Does he have the moment coming into turn 1? Doesn't look like he has the run he needs. But he's keeping it nice and tidy through the chicane. This fight is all over the place, folks. Drivers are in all sorts of different places on track. But battles are raging everywhere. Soupy not out of the fight yet. Tucked in behind Ben Graybo. Had a great run on the exit there, but lost a little bit of steam coming out of the corner. Something Fierce is spun hard on the attack to Chill Blast, and that is going to be a costly spin. And now, I believe that's Soupy is spun as well. Potentially checking up for the incident ahead. And now Pingu's starting to get involved in the fight for the lead. This is a three-way fight, folks. These guys, you throw a blanket over them. And this is for all 3 steps on the podium. We're fast approaching the halfway part of this race. And things don't seem to be slowing down at all. What a race we've got on our hands, folks. Joe Dirt now coming for Chill Blast. Is he going to get him? Some side-by-side action here. Chill Blast maintains the position, though. Makes Joe work. But I think he's going to have the pace to get around. And now on the charge for Spiky Cactus. Now, folks, that is a 6 to 7 second delta between the two. I would not put it past Joe Dirt at all. He was the pole sitter, and the differential in pace for a lot of these drivers was somewhat significant to the pole sitter, which means over a lap, Joe can really put some time down, and there's a very good chance he could be fighting for the top 4 or the podium before this race is out. We are not going to forget about the number 23 machine. Something Fierce now trying to get around Waylon Crace. After an unfortunate incident battling for Chill Blast in for P5 earlier in the race. Somebody else has gone around. Who was that? Oh, and there's somebody checked up. Crace checked up. Who did Fierce hit? I think Fierce hit Crace, but I don't know who. There's only it was NZ. I think NZ spun, and then Crace spun in reaction, and Fierce clipped him. Nikita, folks, has worked his way back up to P7 and is charging forward. We won't want to forget about him either. Is now Something Fierce trying to retaliate in style and get Ben Grabo for position. P8 is the battle we're watching right now. But Grabo keeping his cool, staying calm, maintaining the gap. Folks, the race at the front of this field is not decided yet. I can't tell you who the clear victor might be. Obviously, it always comes down to the checkered, but all of these drivers having very strong races so far and been pretty much grouped together most of the race. It's anybody's guess as to who comes out victorious in the feature event, or really the podium. Any of these 3 drivers could appear anywhere on the podium. The other thing, if I'm Spiky Cactus in 4th or Joe Dirt in 5th, and even Chill Blast and Nikita in 6th and 7th, I'm hoping that these guys race each other's wheels off, force incidents, and potentially take each other out. As now Pingu fires it up the left side of heel toe and does get the position. That was for P2. Defensive maneuvers. And now it begins to charge for Obscure Hi-Fi. And we're going to start to see lapped traffic, folks. which will really make the race interesting. It's your race leader. Gonna start to have to work his way through traffic, as well as defend from the incoming competitors, as I believe the traffic just went off the track. What a great race we've had so far, folks, and it's not over yet. We've only just crossed the halfway point 2 laps ago. It is still anybody's game. I'm getting an update that second place Merchant's internet went out. What an unfortunate turn of events for Merchant. Really hate to see that. Had such a strong drive in race 1, was really excited to watch what he had for us in race 2. But unfortunately, his internet had something else to say about it this evening. It's a battle. Still very tight for these race leaders. And folks, the field has kind of thinned out just a little bit. Post Merchant, we've also lost another driver. I'm not sure who it was. Pingu with a late lunge on the inside of Hi-Fi. A little bit of a shoulder check into 3, and on the exit, Hi-Fi looks to answer on the entry to turn 4, but doesn't get it done. Apologize. I mean, we had the camera on him nonetheless, but I wasn't really expecting a lunge, but he got it done, and now Pingu leading the race. Hi-Fi starting to face pressure from Heel Toe Hero. Got shoveled off the line, and Heel Toe now up into P2. If he can hold off the position, using Pingu as a pick, Hi-Fi manages to trap Heel Toe on the outside and maintain P2. And now Spiky Cactus in the mix. Folks, as I mentioned prior, Joe Dirt has closed the delta down to about 5 seconds from Cactus. He's coming. And what was a 3-way battle for the podium has now become a 4-way battle for the podium, because Spiky Cactus is starting to close in. We're right on board with Heel Toe Hero, currently sitting P3, thanks to a very tidy and bold lunge from Pingu, which rocketed him up to the top step of the podium. Heel Toe now just trying to find his way around Hi-Fi. Playing it very cautious on the brake and throttle inputs there. Doesn't want to rear end the car ahead. Like to see the respect of the drivers here in CASS. These guys are all top-notch class act guys. It's very much on display this evening. Lots of side-by-side action. More than we've seen in probably the last 2 rounds combined. But he's just not finding the opportunities. A little bit wide, and that's going to upset the balance of the car. Not what he wanted to see. Now the top three are starting to spread out a bit, folks. We'll take a look here at our race leader, Tactical Nuclear Pingu. Enjoying the view from the front of the field, I imagine. And what a poetic way, if he wins this race, to take your first win of the season. Looking at the season he's had thus far, some incidents in round one, just not having the pace to get it done in round two. Here he is tonight. Had a pretty decent run in race in the sprint race, and now in the feature he's leading the event, and he's already opened the gap to a second, folks. That's huge. And doesn't seem to be losing any pace. And when he crosses the line, seven laps of racing remain. Nice, smooth entry into the chicane. Heel toe really trying not to lose his steam. Soupy trying to make a move here on NZ. Had some pretty decent pace in the qualifying. Very smooth, very quick. Now a 10th separates P2 and P3. Heel toe hero. Trying to find an opening over Hi-Fi. Not finding the window. And this is where I think right here Hi-Fi manages to continue to open the gap. Heel toe goes on a very offensive attack line, which is great. But he runs out of momentum when he pops out of the slipstream, and that really impacts the run into this front straightaway. You know, you kind of want to keep the car as tucked as you can until you get those big passing opportunities or these late braking opportunities that give you a chance to at least go door to door and force them to make a defensive maneuver. Very late lunge on the brakes, washes a little bit wide, but he seems to have recovered it pretty well. Only lost about a 10th, maybe 2. He is using every bit of the track, folks. He is pushing hard to try to get around Hi-Fi for the second step on the podium tonight. And Cactus is loving this battle. It is closing the gap more and more each lap. And folks, Joe Dirt is now just 3 seconds behind the podium drivers. You see that red and black car in the background? That is your Race 2 pole sitter. That is the pole sitter for the feature event tonight. Joe Dirt, 9, has closed the gap after an early race incident between himself and Nikita, knocked both of them from P1 and P2 down to the back of the field. Joe Dirt is now a lap or two, potentially, from putting himself in the fight for a podium. It is going to be a wild 5-lap shootout at the end of this race, folks. and I'm excited to see what they've got in store for us. It's heel toe. Really trying to work over his opponent. Joe Dirt. 2nd and 3/10 behind Cactus early in the lap. We're going to watch that gap as we ride on board with your feature pole sitter. And folks, watch this gap diminish. We were at 1.3 seconds at the top of the lap. We're at 1.1 seconds, 1.2 seconds. It ebbs and flows a little bit. Sub 1 second. 3/10 gained just in a handful of corners, folks. Joe Dirt is coming for 4th place. And he still has 4 laps of racing to potentially get something done. We may be talking about a comeback podium from an incredibly tragic beginning to this race. We're going to watch what do we cross the line. 1.5 seconds at the top of the lap has become 7/10. 8/10 were lost in the last race, or in the last lap. He trimmed it back 8/10, and now the battle ahead continues to rage on, and he continues to charge forward. Cactus is going to have to start playing defense soon, but he doesn't want to because the cars ahead are continuing to battle. As now, Heel Toe Hero sticks it to the inside of Obscure Hi-Fi into turn 3. It's a drag race down into 4. Late on the brakes are both of them, but it's not going to be enough to make anything happen. Hi-Fi keeps it in, and Hero runs wide, and that opens the door for Cactus to continue to close the gap, but now Cactus will be facing pressure from Joe Dirt, who is now just 4/10 and closing. With 3.5 laps left of competition, Joe Dirt is biding his time. He's already competed himself into a top 5 position. He's already placed him in a great finishing position for the race he's had thus far, but he is not satisfied. He wants more. He's hungry for more, and he has the pace for more. Nikita now working to chase down Chill Blast. It's Joe Dirt looking for Cactus. The gap has closed immensely. Nikita on Chill Blast for P6. Who is braver on the brakes? It is Chill Blast. Beautiful switchback from Nikita, though, will put him in contention for P6, leaving only enough room on the entry to that corner. A little bit of a shoulder check, and that is going to give Nikita the opportunity to get around, and Ben Grabo now trying to snake through and make a move on Chill Blast as well. Folks, the race is starting to come together for a lot of these drivers who had an early race. Spiky Cactus has been passed by Joe Dirt, who is now charging for the final step of the podium with 2.5 laps of racing left. This could be one of the most impressive comeback races I have seen in AMS2. Chill Blast shuffled back to P8, and Grabo did get around for P7. Folks, we are crossing the line for lap 23 of 24. There is still 2 whole laps of racing left, and Joe Dirt is on a mission. He is determined to get around these drivers and reclaim a step on the podium. I don't even know what to expect at this point, folks. It is going to come down to the checkers for Joe Dirt. And I imagine patience will begin to dwindle. Not necessarily with the other drivers, but with the amount of time he has to get around. He must make a move and make it quick. As we ride on board with the man of the hour, the hard charger, the biggest mover. On the offense, there's a bit of a mishap, and Heel Tohiro's off into the sand. Joe Dirt now in P3, chasing down Obscure Hi-Fi. It did not look like contact from the position we were sitting in. I don't know if there was some desync contact or if that was a missed braking opportunity from Heel Toe, but hugely detrimental to the battle for P3, and Heel Toe might have sustained some damage there, and now Joe Dirt on the final lap. Massive defensive move from Hi-Fi, trying to block that inside lane. But Joe not having any of it. They're side by side up the hill and into the kink. Late on the brakes is Joe Dirt with a very tidy switchback. Does he make the lunge down into 3? He does try to stick it in the opening, and he's going to be side by side on the exit of 3. This is where it's going to count. Can Hi-Fi retaliate with a defense into 4? They are side by side the whole lap so far, but Dirt washes wide. You got to know both of these drivers are absolutely grinning ear to ear right now, having a blast in this battle, but I think Joe Dirt might have it as Hi-Fi checks up the brakes just a little bit. Not giving up yet, very late on the brakes. Obscure Hi-Fi trying to find an opening to reclaim the position from Joe Dirt. He's firing it up the right side and on the inside of the corner, but it's not going to be enough. Joe Dirt closes the door. And rounding the final few corners, these are going to be the last opportunities to get around. But Joe Dirt, with a beautifully clean line through turns 10 and 11, is going to go up the front straightaway and reclaim P2 with one of the most incredible comeback drives I have seen. With the checkered flying, we'd like to congratulate Pingu, who has had a tumultuous start to this season and a massive comeback race for him as well. This will be a fantastic points day. Great for the championship. Happy to see him victorious today. Joe Dirt with an incredible drive in P2. Obscure Hi-Fi in P3. Spiky Cactus will take P4, and Heel Toe Hero with an unfortunate incident on the last lap, or the second to last lap, rounds out your top 5. Nikita was a very strong contender in this race at the initial start, and it seems to be a little bit of contact between him and Joe Dirt. Sent both of them to the back of the field, but a great recovery from Nikita in P6. Chill Blast P7, Ben Grabo P8, Something Fierce P9, and P10 goes to NZ. And there you've got Waylon Cray, Stir Ha, Soupy, Shadow Puck, and Tarka will round out your top 15. And Desmodu will take out P16. But folks, I'm sorry. I know Pingu won it, and I hate to take eyes off the race winner, but the driver of the hour, in my opinion, was Joe Dirt. What an incredible drive that was. Massive, massive drive. Massive props to Joe. It was an incredible blast to watch. Fantastic. Fantastic racing. That is what you all come to see. What a night that was. But, folks, that is going to be all she wrote this evening. If you guys are with CASS and you're watching this back, this is the end of the CASS part of the broadcast. I'm just going to go over the rest of my stream schedule. It is a lot of sim racing stuff this week once again. Tomorrow we've got the Formula USA 2023 Championship. We're back to road courses. We had our second oval of the season last week, but we are back at Termos de Rio Hondo tomorrow night. We've got a little bit of rain in the forecast, so that'll be real dicey for everybody. Following that, we have the final race, the final round of the NASCAR Mini Series in ARL using the stock GT3 or the stock USA Gen 3. So be sure to check that out. Should be good fun. And then I'll be off Thursday, and see if these will be Friday night as usual. So I really hope you all enjoyed tonight's show. Had a blast. I don't know what happened with the stream. It dropped there for a minute, but it came back pretty quick. It wasn't an internet issue. I think it was just an OBS, maybe disconnected or something. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show. I had an absolute blast. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out tonight. Hope to see you again soon. Take care, and good night.